gentlemen, I'd like to take the opportunity now to introduce the next guest of honor here to deliver the summit's honorary opening remarks, His Excellency, the President of Turkey, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdoğan.
Thank you, Victor. Sorry for this interruption.
Estimable audience, distinguished participants, I would like to salute you all with the most heartfelt feelings. I hope and I pray for God that the Bosphorus summit will be auspicious for the countries and for our citizens. Due to the COVID pandemic, this year we are organizing our summit in a hybrid platform. Once again, I would like to thank anyone who contributed to the organization of this conference. And I would like to extend my gratitude to our participants. Coronavirus has an impact from our social lives to our political lives. It has inflicted negative impacts in a broad area. And we have seen that the pandemic has led to negative impact on our trade figures as well. And unfortunately, the unemployment increased a lot due to the pandemic. Turkey, with the social and economic policies, has implemented the successful policies. And thanks to our sound and strong health infrastructure, we have given our healthcare services free of charge to our citizens. And we have dispatched the medical aid to more than 157 countries and more than 12 international organizations. And we have used 311 billions of Turkish liras of aid, and by making use of this aid, we stood by with our citizens. Thanks to our short-term aid, we have allocated 54 billion Turkish liras of additional aid to our citizens. And the figures which have been announced last week has shown the success story of our country. With 1.8% of growth rate, Turkey ranked on the second place after China. And in terms of the trade management and industrial production management, the same success story is valid for our country as well. Especially in the last years, the international investment flow to Turkey is increasing. And we would like to apologize for the technical problem.
Bu süreçte
So during this process, of course, not only the amount of the investments matter, but their sustainability are also important. If we are not taking into consideration the social benefits, and if the investments are not contributing to the development, it means that it is an insufficient investment. Sustainability, social entrepreneurship, and social responsibility concepts should be added into our jargon, because those investments will provide important opportunities for the humanities. The innovative way of doing business should be integrated into our social lives, and we are attaching importance to those enterprises. As the global economic system is challenged with the global crisis like COVID-19, I do believe that the investments which are creating impacts will be taking the foreground. And I do believe that the Center for Impactful Investments will be established thanks to this summit, which will be really important. As the presidency, we will give our best support for the impactful investments to be done. I would like to thank the UNDP, the Special Sector Center and Impact Investment Center, and Turkish Bank of Development and Turkish Investment Office by Presidency. I would like to congratulate anyone who contributed to this summit, and I wish that this summit will be proven auspicious. May you all stay in good health.
Victor, sorry for cutting you off. I'd like to hand the microphone back to Mr. İlter Turan so you can pick up where we left off. Do apologize. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Well, pleasure to pick up after the president has spoke. Well, I mentioned that one of the initiatives is about signing the Black Sea Declaration, and my closing statements that the declaration will emphasize how essential the Black Sea region is for the world peace, and will provide for certain initiatives for reaching peace and stability in the Black region itself. Among other possible issues which I would propose for the declaration to cover is about underlying importance for regional security partnerships, speak of the region as a free area from malign influences and special zones of interest, emphasize a requirement for concerted efforts for mobilizing funds to diversify regional infrastructure and promoting socially and environmentally sustainable projects for the region. Besides, touch on frozen and prolonged conflicts, as well as express support for independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of countries in the Black Sea region. Provide for regional venues for deliberating on regional security, and last but not least, emphasize on importance to open discussions on regional free trade agreements and trade associations. I'd like to thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me the time to express my views on the topic. Happy to discuss any of the issues, and many thanks indeed, and good luck to the Bosphorus Summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. And I would like to take this occasion to thank Kat Tully, Steve Erlanger, Fyodor Lukyanov, and Viktor Kipiani. I think the discussion was rich, and in fact, I came to think that there should have been more time for discussion, but we will reserve that for a real person meeting next year. Thank you very much. In normal meetings, we would say, let's give them a big hand, but they might not even hear it. So we thank them genuinely for their contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you and your guests. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our next keynote speech right now. I'd like to invite to the screen the administrator of the UNDP, Mr. Achim Steiner.
Policy dialogue on how to establish an enabling environment for SDG-anchored investments in Turkey. It takes place at a time of unprecedented global upheaval. Countries and communities are facing the devastating socioeconomic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Human development is on course to decline for the first time in 30 years. Indeed, research by the United Nations Development Programme has found that the pandemic could push the number of people living in extreme poverty to over 1 billion by the year 2030, unless focused action is taken now. And decades of hard-won progress on the Sustainable Development Goals is starting to reverse. Yet even before the pandemic, gains have been slower or even reversed on many of the SDGs. For instance, we were simply not on track to end poverty by the year 2030. The lack of adequate funding and financing for the SDGs continues to be a major stumbling block. Even before the pandemic hit, the financing gap to meet the SDGs was estimated at some $2.5 trillion per year. In the wake of this pandemic, we need to drive forward new and innovative ways to generate the level of financing needed to achieve the SDGs. Unlocking capital will not only help countries to recover from the crisis, but will allow them to build forward better. The United Nations system is working to advance concrete measures that will significantly increase financial flows towards the SDGs. SDG Impact, a flagship initiative of UNDP, is engaging directly with business, investors, and policymakers to lay out the business case for the alignment of their activities with the SDGs, ultimately to drive more inclusive and resilient economic growth. One of the major obstacles identified by SDG Impact is the limited availability of impact intelligence around SDG investment opportunities. To address this information gap, SDG Impact developed the Investor Map methodology. These maps are a powerful tool. They provide detailed information on how specific investments and business models can advance the SDGs. The maps will identify dozens of investment opportunity areas in each country. As a result of the maps and complementary efforts, it is expected that each country involved will be able to mobilize approximately $50 million towards the SDGs. And today I'm delighted to launch the Sdg Investor Map for Turkey. The map was developed with UNDP Turkey with the support of the UNDP Istanbul International Center for Private Sector in Development in partnership with the Investment Office of Turkey. It features 27 investment opportunity areas across 9 sectors. That includes everything from technology and communications to renewable energy and healthcare. This critical market intelligence will be rolled out on a searchable online platform in the coming months. In sum, we believe that the maps will serve as a vital instrument to help the private sector in Turkey to channel finance towards national priorities and development needs, and ultimately towards the achievement of the SDGs. In a wider sense, we hope that the investor maps will play a key role in helping to unlock the vast potential out there. For instance, if you were able to channel just 1% of global pension fund savings towards the SDGs, that would be double the amount of current official development assistance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, the United Nations Development Programme is a proud partner of Turkey in its pursuit of the 2030 Agenda. For over 50 years, we have been working together with local stakeholders to address acute development challenges. However, we cannot stand still. Rather, we must forge even stronger alliances with critical partners like the private sector and implement innovative approaches to building forward better and investing in that building forward better. In this respect, I look forward to the conclusions of today's policy dialogue on SDG financing. It is also likely to generate new avenues for cooperation. As we look beyond this pandemic, it is a moment for the entire world, nations united, if you want, to work together to advance progress on the SDGs. This will help to ensure that everyone is afforded the opportunities they need at this pivotal moment in history. Thank you.
Achim Steiner, thank you very much. Let's continue our Sustainable Development Goals talk right now. I'd like to invite to the stage Sapa Sobani, is the director of the UNDP's Istanbul International Center for Private Sector Development. The floor is yours, sir. I think it's open. All right.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure being here today. We had the opportunity to hear from President Erdogan on the importance of social and impact investing earlier on as part of this launch, and also the administrator of the United Nations Development Program, Mr. Achim Steiner. So, dear all, I would like to welcome you all to this policy dialogue event to launch the Sdg Investor Map Turkey. My name is Saba Sabani, and I'm the director of the UNDP Istanbul International Center for Private Sector in Development. Our center leads UNDP's global private sector portfolio based on 4 thematic pillars, including impact investing. Today, we have the pleasure to open this event to launch the Sdg Investor Map for Turkey. Based on the flagship methodology developed by UNDP SDG Impact, the map was prepared by UNDP Turkey and the International Istanbul Center for Private Sector in Development in collaboration with the Investment Office of Turkey, Presidency Office of Turkey. We are delighted to have cooperated with the Investment Office of Turkey on this exciting project. The Sdg Investor Map Turkey has been developed as a guidance document to highlight the sectors and the business models with the highest potential to contribute to Turkey's development progress while generating financial return. The Sdg Investor Map Turkey includes 27 investment opportunities identified across 9 priority sectors: technology and communications, transportation, renewable and goods, infrastructure, and financials. You can see the list of sectors and investment opportunities area on the screen above to give you an idea of the scope. The maps provide essential market intelligence on SDG enabling investment opportunities for investors. They enable investors to shape impactful business deals and perform due diligence by providing supporting information on the economic pace, the impact case, potential risk, and political, regulatory, and financial environment surrounding the chosen investment opportunity areas. To promote investment flows into the business models identified by the Sdg Investor Map, we held an investment convening event 1 week ago. Our event brought together international and local investors with companies to foster dialogue around the investment opportunity areas identified by the map. For the investment convening event, we had chosen 3 priority sectors with high potential and investment momentum: infrastructure, renewable energy, and healthcare. We're happy to announce that the event helped form new partnerships around some of the most innovative models of the Sdg Investor Map, such as sustainable solid management and recycling, smart city service and technology provision, solar energy installation services and component production, telehealth and remote diagnostic services, and biotechnology production. We hope that the connections formed during the event materialize into concrete investment opportunities in the near future. Our policy dialogue event today will explore how to establish an enabling ecosystem to accelerate SDG financing and mobilize the type of investment identified by the Sdg Investor Map. Following the opening remarks of the resident representative of UNDP Turkey, Mr. Claudio Tomassi, we will proceed with a panel discussion. I would like to now welcome Mr. Claudio Tomassi, the resident representative of the United Nations Development Program Turkey, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Over to you, Claudio.
Thank you very much, Saba. I hope you can all hear me loud and clear. President of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Administrator of UNDP, Achim Steiner, distinguished panelists, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to share the floor with such a distinguished panel in the framework of the 2021 Bosphorus Summit, and on such an important day, the 8th of March, the International Women's Day. This year's focus on the 8th of March is on women's leadership, and what a perfect match for what we are discussing in this policy dialogue event. Let me start by saying it loud and clear. Without women leadership and equal opportunities, we will not come even close to the fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, this Investor Map policy dialogue is one of the facilitation events around the Turkey Sdg Investor Map. It is intended to foster dialogue across the board around impactful businesses models and investment opportunities areas that are aligned with national development needs and the Sustainable Development Goals. Let me highlight here that the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, that I have the honor to represent in this country, has been in active collaboration with the government of Turkey for over 50 years to assist the country in reaching its full developmental potential. As the UNDP, we are committed to support the achievement of the goals set out in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with our valuable partners. Turkey currently ranks 54th out of 189 countries in terms of its performance on the UNDP's Human Development Index. In this context, Turkey's position in the very high human development category has been exhibiting a consistent improvement on its human development score since the 90s. Most SDG targets are already incorporated in Turkey national development plans and sector strategies. However, as suggested by the 2020 Human Development Report, and as recent events show us, it will be futile to take this score independently from a country's ecological footprint. On that front, Turkey is looking to make improvements as well. The country has been a party of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change since 2004 and intends to reduce its total greenhouse emissions by 21% by 2030. Although significant progress has been made to reach the SDGs in the countries, there are still major improvements to be made. This is compounded by the effects of the COVID-19, which has deprived millions of people of their sources of livelihood. 55% of the world, 4 billion people, are currently facing the pandemic without any form of social protection. Globally, it is estimated that the pandemic could push 44 million people into extreme poverty by 2030 in a baseline scenario, and as much as 1 billion people under a high damage scenario where its effects continue unabridged, as our administrator just stated. This does not call for pessimism, but it does call for urgent and radical action. Dedicated SDG interventions can help countries accelerate out of the crisis. While a lot of responsibility falls on the shoulders of governments and citizens, the private sector also has a vital role to play. This especially so, given that one of the main reasons why the world might not reach the SDGs by 2030 is the lack of adequate financing. It is estimated that additional $2.5 trillion in SDG investments are needed if we are seriously considering achieving Agenda 2030 and the SDG targets. It is within this context that UNDP is promoting development of the Sdg Investor Maps across the globe. We started in Brazil and have rolled out also in China, India, South Korea, and South Africa. The maps are intended to mobilize the private sector to both adopt more inclusive and sustainable business models in the real economy and direct investments towards such models when making investment decisions. The maps are based on the flagship methodology developed by our SDG Impact team. We hope that this study provides necessary guidance for the investors in the implementation countries about the type of investments that could accelerate their national progress towards the SDGs. Additionally, we hope that they fuel the type of conversation that we will be having today. I would also like to mention that a comprehensive analysis was conducted by the Business for Gold platform, the first thing to do tank in private sector in Turkey, which is also supported by UNDP, to explore the correlation between sectors and SDGs achievement in Turkey based on statistics to create a matrix, signally priority sectors in light of pressing SDG needs. The SDG and sectors correlation analysis report is to be launched in the course of the Bosphorus Summit tomorrow afternoon. So I kindly invite you to participate to that session as well. We're also proud partner of the SDG Impact Accelerator, which is a partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Turkey as a global multi-stakeholder platform and accelerator that works towards empowering system entrepreneurs and innovators who can provide impact. The accelerator supports the generation of market-creating innovations for refugees and least developed countries through a broad range of services spanning mentoring, funding, and networking. Along with other services provided for the enterprises, the SDG Impact Accelerator aims to build an impact fund to be allocated to those who graduate from the accelerator program. As an outcome of the discussion and consultation for the SDG Impact Accelerator and the Impact Fund, a landscape study on impact investing ecosystem in Turkey was developed in cooperation with the Investment Office of the Presidency of the Republic of Turkey and the UNDP Istanbul International Center for Private Sector in Development. Built on a comprehensive desk research and in-depth interviews with major stakeholders, the impact investing ecosystem in Turkey showcases opportunities in a market for international and local investors, identifies high potential areas, and provides policy recommendations to foster the impact investing ecosystem. Following the launch of the report, a task force was enabled towards the establishment of an impact investment National Advisory Board, NAB, in Turkey, which also demonstrates the interest from both public and private sectors to advance impact investments in the country. The NAB, whose details will be presented today, will also play a very important and instrumental role in creating an enabling ecosystem for impact investing in Turkey. Before concluding, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to the Presidency, Investment Office, the Strategy and Budget Office, the Ministry of Industry and Technology, and all our public and private sector partners who contributed to the SDG Investor Mapping of Turkey, and the IICPSD and Sabah here for their extensive support and technical work on the ground. It is imperative that we formulate an integrated response with the public and private sectors alike to pave our way out of this crisis that we're experiencing today. Addressing the financing gap by identifying investment opportunity areas for SDG-friendly private sector business is just one piece of the complex puzzle that will mean success or failure for Agenda 2030. But it is nevertheless a central piece of this puzzle. Thank you all very much for your participation.
Thank you very much, Claudio, Mr. Tomasi. It is an honor to initiate the panel discussion for the SDG Investor Map. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists, Mr. Burak Daglioglu, the President of the Investment Office of Turkey, Mr. Ibrahim Öztop, the CEO of the Development and Investment Bank of Turkey, and Ms. Shafak Muderisoglu, the Chairman of Etikiyab, who's joining us from London. Welcome. Mr. Burak Daglioglu, where do you see the Turkey's potential in SDG-aligned investments? How do you think the SDG Investor Map will contribute to the Turkish investment landscape?
Thank you for giving the word to me. First of all, I would like to start with a message that today we are here together on the 8th of March, which is globally World Women's Day. So I would like to congratulate Day of the Women, and I think the topic is the SDG, and one of the crucial agenda under SDG is inclusion of ladies into many areas of the life, and I think this is a nice coincidence. Secondly, I would like to thank organizers for bringing us together during these challenging times, and of course we are aware that we are obeying the rules of the social distancing and etc. But it is really good to have a offline event, maybe a hybrid event during the pandemic. And of course, I would like to thank sponsors for enabling this event. You mentioned about our role. Our specific mandate is to attract more foreign direct investments to Turkey and provide a facilitation service for the expansion of the existing international investments. So when we look at the Turkey's economic conditions, we believe that foreign direct investments play a crucial role. I would like to give just an example, a numerical example, and I don't want to go to details of the merits of the FDI. When we look at the period of 2003 to up until now, I mean 2020, FDI inflows to Turkey financed 40% of the current account deficit of the country. And His Excellency President Erdogan in his keynote speech gave many examples of that and the economic performance of the Turkey. And he also underlined that FDI inflows to Turkey still continues. So let me briefly touch on the existing investment landscape, and then let's discuss the impact of the SDG investor mapping on this landscape. First of all, as you all know, Turkey has a very strong and dynamic domestic market, and it is a country which can grow even in the most challenging times of the global economic condition. First of all, we are the largest and youngest population in our region. Turkey's population is more than 83 million, and half of the population is under 33. And when we look at, again, the same period between 2003 to 2020, the compound annual growth rate is more than 5%. In my opinion, this is a very strong indicator of the economic resilience in the country. And again, the President Erdogan underlined, even in a challenging year like 2020, Turkey managed to grow by 1.8%, whereas many international, many other countries were having a contraction. Secondly, Turkey has a very unique geostrategic location. No need to say that Turkey is a real bridge between Asia and Europe, and we are at the intersection of the continents like Asia, Europe, and Africa. And this is not only geostrategic location. We believe that historically, culturally, religiously, economically, Turkey is playing a real bridge role in the region. So because of that reason, more than 1.3 billion population is accessible from Turkey. And thanks to the connection provided by the infrastructure and superstructure of the infrastructure investments and the superstructure investments by the private sector and public sector, plus public-private partnerships, Turkey is playing a very crucial role in the region. And this is not only for the investments, this is not only for the trade, and this is also important for the energy security, food supply security, and etc. So, lastly, I would like to talk about the last aspect is the environmental friendly investment climate in the country. Thanks to the leadership by the President Erdogan, since 2003, we have been having reforms in the economy. And you can observe that those reforms are in line with the expectation of the private sector. First of all, in 2003, we started with the amendment on the law of foreign investment, foreign direct investments. And just after that, Turkey received 220 billion US dollars of FDI inflows to Turkey in the last 18 years. So in my opinion, this is a very solid example of that. The reforms are not for the sake of reforms. Reforms are result-oriented, reforms are being monitored by the decision makers, and then the continuous reform agenda is developed based on those inputs. So again, maybe another example of how successful those reforms were. OECD has a index showing the liberty of FDI inflows to a country. Turkey is one of the best ranking countries. Another example can be the World Bank's Doing Business Index. In 2006, Turkey was ranked as the 84th country in that global ease of doing business index. And just recently, Turkey ranked as the 33. So recently, in the last quarter of the 2020, President Erdogan announced a new reform drive. And last week, we announced the judiciary package of the, this new reform agenda. And this week, hopefully, we are going to hear more on the economic reforms. And we believe that with the new fresh reform agenda, we are confident that Turkey will carry investments to the next level and reinforce its position as a safe haven in the region. So when we come to today's agenda, as we all witnessing, globally, there is an increasing trend among the investors, and it can be strategic investors or the financial investor profile. Everybody is caring more about the social dimensions, environmental dimensions of their investment and businesses. So issues such as women employment, green energy, greener production methodologies, especially on the industries, financial inclusion, elimination of the regional development disparities, and those topics are at the forefront than ever before. So as we know that as the investment office, we are much more dealing with the equity perspective of this SDG agenda, and we are closely following up the private equity funds raised only for impact investment in line with the SDGs. And we are aware that there are also debt instruments. Maybe my colleague can mention more about that. And there are many other financial instruments focusing on SDG agenda. We believe that there is a huge potential in Turkey, like in many other emerging markets. So we have been cooperating with UNDP Turkey office up until now. So thanks for their initiatives as well. So I would like to extend my special gratitude, especially the team based in Turkey. We have been cooperating with them in the best way. So we focused on the Sdg Investor Mapping. As you may remember, in the last year's event, again, we announced another important report together with the UNDP in this Bosphorus summit. Again, it was on the impact investment ecosystem in Turkey. So this year we wanted to focus on this Sdg Investor Mapping. The main reason, no need to again talk about many other aspects, was to provide data for the decision makers. We are aware that there is a huge resource on the global financial system to be allocated for the SDG investment and the impact investments, but the emerging markets are facing a data challenge. So there is a gap between the target and between the source. So our main priority is to eliminate this. And it has been already mentioned that we have identified 8 target sectors. So we have identified some very successful, examples of the SDG investments, and we have also identified solid examples of it. Maybe one of the most notable ones is regarding the environmental aspect. EVs, electrical vehicles, are rising phenomenon, and Turkey had an initiative to start a EV project which is called as TOGG. So I think this was a response of the Turkey, to the global debate, to the global discussion, to initiate a consortium to invest more on the electrical vehicles. So I would like to also mention that in Turkey's agenda, EU's Green Deal has a huge room, especially in the last 2 years. The relevant government offices are, delicately working on, how to adopt EU Green Deal agenda. And in my opinion, this Sdg Investor Mapping will also contribute to efforts of Turkey in this regards as well. And lastly, I would like to talk about on this public platform that we have been working on our national FDI strategy with the Ministry of Industry, and SDG investments has a special place in our FDI strategy. We, underlined the importance. We have identified many verticals, and SDG principles are touching to all our verticals. So hopefully soon we are going to publish the full version of the our FDI strategy. But I would like to also underline that the SDG agenda was one of the key pillars of our new FDI strategy as well. So, before ending my remarks, I would like to highlight our key message that Turkey is a dynamic and growing G20 economy, uniquely linking East with the West. So we invite you to invest in Turkey. And I would like to thank you all for participating in this session, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burak Bey. The symbol of our center is the Bosphorus Bridge, and it is really Turkey is a good place as a bridge to the world. We have here a delegation from Djibouti, from the Ministry of Finance and others, who would like to replicate the same experience that we have seen in terms of the Sdg Impact Map.
Yeah, and maybe we are here for the 11th Bosphorus Summit, and in the recent years we have witnessed that more than 80 countries participated in those events, and I think this is related to also connectivity of Turkey.
Absolutely. As I mentioned to you earlier on, I usually when I'm in the plane, Turkish Airlines, I look at your wonderful brochure and I see all the wonderful business opportunity. I look forward to seeing some of these SDG enabled impact opportunities also in that.
Definitely. Actually, in the last 1 year, we have been publishing them online digitally. Hard copies are not available due to the COVID measures. But we have been giving a special place, for the impact investment and the SDG. I didn't want to go to details of the, the new agenda of the NAB National Advisory Board for Impact Investment, because Shafak Hanım, Mr. Shafak Müderriskil will, underline the key messages. So I would like to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now this segue nicely in Ms. Shafak Hanım's, who's the chair of Etikiyab. From London speaking, please go ahead and tell us, what is Etikiyab's approach towards investing in the SDG aligned business models? What opportunity do you see for the potential of impact investing in Turkey, particularly in terms of providing financing within the sectors prioritized in the Sdg Investor Maps?
Thank you, Mr. Sopani. My name is Shafak Müderriskil, and I'm the chair of the impact investing platform of Turkey called Etkiyab. And being the only woman on this panel today, I'm very happy to address the audience on this day of the International Women's Day, as we will be speaking of the Sustainable Development Goals and impact investing. Esteemed panelists, distinguished guests, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all at the Bosphorus Summit in Istanbul on this groundbreaking day that marks Turkey's readiness and motivation to facilitate a productive discussion and ongoing action among local and international capital holders regarding SDG financing and impact investing. In a world exposed to COVID-19 pandemic, in addition to the existing global challenges, in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, collaboration and partnership is necessary more than ever. Bridging the $2.5 trillion annual funding gap requires collaboration in order to alleviate financing burden on governments, donor agencies, and development banks. Despite the difficulties, there is also a growing interest among investors to mobilize capital into activities that deliver strong financial returns while reducing poverty and inequality, advancing health and education, and protecting the environment. It's not tomorrow's challenge, it is the very moment that getting the private sector involved in order to be able to expand the SDG-related investments for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Speaking of the SDG-related investments, it's vital to inform the asset owners on how to create measurable and positive social and environmental impact through their investments. A major challenge constraining SDG-related investments is the difficulty of identifying bankable projects for investors. The Sdg Investor Map is an evidence-based tool that provides impact intelligence by specifying national priorities and development needs, particularly figuring out subsectoral and sub-regional development needs while informing policymakers. I would like to take this opportunity to thank UNDP Turkey and UNDP Private Sector Center for initiating the Sdg Investor Map of Turkey in collaboration with the Investment Office of the Presidency. This map has been developed as a guide that includes 27 investment opportunity areas identified across 9 priority sectors and 14 subsectors. As of 2020, the assets under management for impact investing have reached $715 billion globally. However, there are still wide discrepancies in the geographical allocation of impact assets. In 2020, the Middle East and North Africa region and the Eastern Europe, Russia, and Central Asia region accounted for only 2% and 6% respectively. Despite the low regional share, the Middle East and North Africa region experienced the highest growth in impact investments with a 43% compound annual growth rate over the last couple of years. Located in a strategic location bridging multiple continents, Turkey appeals to impact investors who are interested in both the Middle East and North Africa region and the Eastern Europe, Russia, and Central Asia region markets. There is also great potential for Turkey in the social impact bonds and green bonds and the Islamic finance market. Green Sukuk is also an innovative financial instrument which has great potential in Turkey as it attracts all type investors, conventional investors, green investors, and Islamic investors. While the country enjoys a relatively developed financial market, it still presents many opportunities to generate social and environmental impact to alleviate the development challenges observed in the region. Alongside a growing entrepreneurship ecosystem, Turkey also hosts an emerging social entrepreneurship network, which deserves closer examination to lay the baseline for incorporating financial profit with a positive development impact. The impact investing ecosystem study indicates 5 key areas where the highest impact may be generated in Turkey, which are refugee livelihoods, women's empowerment, renewable energy, health tech, and financial inclusion. Aligning these key areas with entrepreneurship activities in Turkey is critical to raising capital for businesses with and for impact and scale-up models. When we look into the supply side of impact investing in Turkey, we observe that a strong supply of financial capital with a variety of players from development finance institutions to banks and private equity. There is significant access to major global funds such as the Clean Technology Fund, EU Instrument for Pre-Accession Assistance Funds, Global Environmental Facility Funds, and Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency Gender Funds. We can see that the Turkish banking sector displays a strong tendency to contribute to social and environmental sustainability. In 2019, 6 big Turkish banks became part of the 130 banks managing over $47 trillion assets that adopted the responsible banking principles backed by the United Nations Environment Program Finance Initiative. Turkey has a younger population compared to advanced economies and has potential to support a relatively young social entrepreneur network in the economy. Private equity and venture capital are in the rise, as well as angel investments, thanks to the recent tax reliefs provided by the government. Investments in sectors with high impact potential, such as health and well-being, education, clean tech, agri-tech, energy, and social good account for an increasing share in the number of investment deals per year. The public sector is the biggest source of early stage investments, in which COSGAP, TÜBİTAK, and the Ministry of Industry and Technology are key providers. A total of 5,636 foundations that operate in Turkey manage large sums of assets that can be channeled into impact investing, which greatly overlaps with the social welfare mandate of most foundations. On the demand side of impact investing, Turkey is positioned as the largest startup in Southeastern Europe. More than 550 startups are established per year. Startup investment is projected to reach a high of $200 million per year. The entrepreneurship ecosystem is one of Turkey's strengths in variation of entrepreneurship indicators from the EU average in comparison to the EU. The Turkish impact creating enterprises focus particularly on good health and well-being, quality education, affordable and clean energy, and responsible consumption and production. Among social enterprises, 47% are young people, 55% are women, and 83% are highly educated. When it comes to enablers, there's a robust enabler environment that serves investment activities with and for impact. Incubators, accelerators, and technoparks for tech-based ventures are well positioned to be aligned with the impact investing mandate. There's a tendency in Turkish universities to promote impact investing activities. The Impact Investing Ecosystem Report defines Turkey as a country offering a promising context to initiate an impact investing ecosystem that will mobilize finances to alleviate serious development challenges in both the local and regional context. The Turkish market offers many first mover advantages for impact investing, and being involved in building this ecosystem has a lot to offer for both the government and the private sector. In order to leverage the opportunities and manage transition to the impact economy in Turkey, establishing a national advisory board for impact investing was a crucial step. And I'm very happy to announce for the first time that the Turkish National Advisory Board for impact investing will be established by the end of March this year. Among the founders of the Turkish National Advisory Board are the Development and Investment Bank of Turkey, Impact Investing Platform Etkiyap, the Investment Office of the Presidency, UNDP Private Sector Center, and UNDP Turkey. The Turkish National Advisory Board shall act as a platform and facilitate the development of impact investing in Turkey. The core aim is to create an enabling environment to facilitate the growth of impact investing and to establish a well-functioning ecosystem. The board has a vision to make impact investing to become a mainstream investing choice in Turkey. The Turkish National Advisory Board will be mobilizing government agencies and private sector stakeholders for developing a regulatory system to define and incentivize impact investing. Capacity building activities for government agencies, public sector capital, and private sector capital will be at the core of activities, as well as raising awareness and creating a common language for impact investing. Finally, developing a clear understanding of impact measurement and management among all sectors and establishing a national impact management framework is another priority. Let me also tell a little bit of ETKAP's role in the making of the National Advisory Board. ETKAP is the impact investing platform of Turkey, established to advocate for impact investing and to create an ecosystem for impact investing in Turkey. ETKAP is chosen by the members of the Impact Investing Task Force as the leading organization to host the National Advisory Board. And the National Advisory Board will hold its first meeting soon and announce its incorporation at a separate event officially. So let me cut it here and pass the floor back to you, Mr. Sobhani. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shafak Hanım. It's such an exciting news that the National Advisory Board is being established here in Turkey with all these key players in the ecosystem. So now I turn over to Mr. Ibrahim Ostop, the CEO of the Development and Investment Bank of Turkey. How does the Development and Investment Bank of Turkey contribute to the national progress towards the SDGs? And what is your current and future strategy for providing financing and investment into the sectors and areas identified in the map?
Thank you very much. Before I begin my speech, I would like to celebrate International Women's Day. It's my honor for me to be with you at this SDG Investor Map launch meeting. As the Development and Investment Bank of Turkey, we consider the contribution that we make to this effort to be of utmost importance. As all you know, 2020 proved to be an extraordinary year. The coronavirus pandemic became the #1 item on the agenda across the world, and this period of history has once again showed us that how important sustainability is. Since its foundation in 1975, our bank has acted to finance sustainable development with the utmost sense of responsibility, while also placing the preservation of the Turkey's sustainable approach and the most effective use of our national resources at the top of its priorities. We contribute to the sustainable progress of the companies through project finance, long-term and medium-term financing, investment banking services, and fund management via equity financing. We provide financial support in every field of the required by our country, from renewable energy to technology, manufacturing to education, with our dynamic, innovative, environmentally and community-sensitive banking approach. And by spreading this awareness to all our stakeholders, we are determined to maintain our ceaseless efforts to add value to our country and the world. We settled our sustainable strategy on 2 focal points. One is our role in supporting sustainable development, and the second one is our responsible banking approach. Demonstrating our respective attitudes towards the environment and society, as well as our effective and productive use of available sources, I can proudly say that we make direct and indirect contributions to 13 of 17 SDGs. 13 of 17 SDGs. It's very important for us. Also, we maintain our commitment to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We are also working in line with our country's 2033 targets. Global impact investment market more than tripled in asset size in 3 years. Further growth is anticipated in the following years as the investors are no longer interested only in pure financial returns, but also they want to do good with their investments. I believe Turkey can and must take a significant share from this rapidly growing funds available for impact investment. We see the completion of the Sustainable Development Goals Investor Map as an important tool to attract more investors to our country, which offers great opportunities. I have no doubt that our country's sustainable development will gain great momentum with impact investment efforts planned across 27 investment areas under 9 sectors. As a development and investment bank of Turkey, we are providing great amount of funding to these priority sectors. Our bank is very proud to have played a key role in terms of promoting potential impact investments areas to all investors in Turkey and abroad. In the last 3 years, we have provided 5.6 billion Turkish lira in funds to renewable energy and 1.2 billion to the manufacturing sector. The total amount of funds that we have provided to the 9 sectors that has emphasized in Sdg Investor Map reached to 10.6 billion TL in the last 3 years. And the volume of the sectors identified in the map in our credit portfolio has increased 1.5 times and reached to 19 billion Turkish lira. Moreover, as a year end, we financed around 500 renewable energy projects totaling 12 billion Turkish lira. We financed, by the project we financed, we had to block around 3 million ton per year carbon dioxide emission that can be provided around 120 million trees effect. We procured 1/3 of the total funding in these 2 years, and with the scope of the COVID-19, we became the bank that contained highest foreign funds from abroad worth to $550 million. By those funding, we would like to continue to facilitate investment in priority sectors in the map and support enterprises which were economically affected by the COVID-19. We are also determined to support and improve investments in various sectors that are identified in the map through investment banking activities. We have already exclusive financial advisor for the Sukuk insurance and issues, and we have already acted as a financial advisor for the Turkey's first bond issue in the amount of transition to low carbon economy amount to $200 million Turkish lira. Our fund management business is also aiming for the Sdg Investor Map. We are also proud to be playing an important role in the establishment of the National Advisory Board. We believe that National Advisory Board's active engagements will make it possible for our country to manage its impact investment strategy more effectively and to become a key regional player in the field of impact investments. At this time in history, impact investment is playing even more important in economic development. As a member of the Global Impact Investment Network, we are planning to raise funds for the impact investment in Turkey. Before I will leave the stage, I would like to mention again 5 areas that has been already mentioned in the map, in the summary executive summary. And from that map, we have already tapped 4 of them. The one of them is regarding with the refugees. We are currently extending loans with the World Bank to the refugees affected regions, and we are planning to give grants for the refugees as well. And the second one for the women empowerment. In all our financings, we are somehow allocating some portion of the fund to these area. Renewable energy and energy efficiency is another area that we have already tapped. Financial inclusion, we are currently acting as an apex bank for the leasing companies, for factoring companies, and for the banks in order to give that kind of funding to the SMEs. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Bey. So I'll do another round of questions here. Mr. Burak Bey, of the investment opportunity and the business models that you've seen in the maps, from smart cities to electric vehicles, which are the ones that are most exciting sitting from where you are? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Actually, from the investment office perspective, in all those identified sectors, there is a high FDI potential. And when we look at our previous project portfolio, I mean the successful project cases, we have many, projects in those various sectors, and in many of them we had the SDG aspect. But you would like to underline at least 1 or 2 of them. In my opinion, this is education and healthcare. Because First of all, education. I already mentioned that the young population of Turkey, is the largest in the region, and we are adding more than 1 million population to our existing population every year. And if you would like to make a difference in the long run, it is the education. I mean, we have to enable a platform that or a system that all the individuals, all the citizens can access to education system in the most efficient way. So all the investments in the education related areas, I mean education technologies and democratization of the education and etc. This is crucial in my opinion. Secondly, the healthcare aspect. First of all, again, the same reason. I mean, we are having 83 million population, and when we look at the before 2003 period, access to healthcare services was limited. But thanks to the prioritization of healthcare as a target sector by the President Erdogan and his team, we have had many success cases. And for the next level of the healthcare investment, all life sciences related investments are crucial. And when we look at the digitalization of healthcare services, Turkey offers a huge data set. We have a deputy minister in the Ministry of Health responsible for all digitalization of those services, and providing data for artificial intelligence related platforms and etc. And I believe that Turkey make a huge difference, a big impact in that specific two sectors.
Those are very great sector. We actually have a SDG AI lab at the Istanbul Center, when we look forward to a collaboration on that front. And here where you have a HES code, everything is digital, so it's very cutting edge. I turn now to Ms. Shafak Hanum. In terms of your National Advisory Board, what are the types of stakeholders you envision to engage in this platform, and from the investor side, and how? I mean, family, different family offices, pension fund. It would be good to get a sense of what is a stakeholder strategy.
Well, as we have not yet established the National Advisory Board, I cannot go into detail here, but I can tell that we will be including all stakeholders, and particularly private sector players, asset managers, and public companies, private sector companies, enablers, universities, and other NGOs in this advisory board that we are going to establish in the coming weeks legally. And we will be mobilizing private sector capital. We will be focused on private sector capital largely. That's
Great.
what I can tell you.
Thank you very much. And I think we all look forward to this, working together in this strategy. Mr. Ibrahim Bey, as you think from you talked about these loans, all these various programs you have, how do we ensure that the SME sector benefits from these impact-oriented SDG sort of opportunities? How do you think about the SME sector in Turkey and getting them in around these opportunities?
Sorry. Actually, we are planning to somehow to touch with the SME via the other financial players, such as, since we have as a development bank, we are currently financing ourselves from the DFIs currently. So when we are getting this kind of funds, we are planning to use leasing companies or other retail banks, other commercial banks who have a branch of large branches, because we have been already only one headquarter in Istanbul. So for that reason, we are planning to somehow finance these SMEs via these banks, rather than, it means that we are somehow including all the other financial players in this game actually. Otherwise, we are unable to tap to these all SMEs. For that reason, we are asking, especially these financial intermediaries, to be in line with our ECG principles. I mean, that's why we will somehow, these DFIs, especially World Bank, the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank or European Investment Bank, these KfW, that kind of DFIs, they have somehow put some guidelines for us, and we will put that guidelines to the other intermediaries in order to be aligned with the source and especially with the beneficiaries. By means of beneficiaries, the SMEs somehow comply with these kind of, let's say, sustainable and respectful to society and the environmental as well. That's what we are planning to do.
Great, thank you. And my final question is for Mr. Claudio Tomasi. Your team has deep experience around thematics on environment. You set up recently SME model factories in Turkey, fourth industrial revolution, sort of expertise. How do you envision leveraging your team and your efforts in terms of making these specific investment opportunities happen in Turkey? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saba, for the question. This is already happening as we speak. We're having a very strong cooperation with the private sector. A couple of years ago, we have come up with this platform, the Business for Goals platform, that gathers basically several private sector actors, and this is a very good space in order to discuss, in order to prioritize, in order to find the solution and to amplify basically what this mapping is showing us. And that's why in my introductory remark, I was mentioning another initiative that has been spearheaded under that platform. But of course, this can become a truly sustainable and truly impactful as long as with the private sector, we foster a cooperation and a dialogue with the public sector and with the banking system. Again, something that we have been working very hard on. And so basically, in a nutshell, my answer is that we will keep doing that with the full commitment, and we will see how this pans out into the future, how further develops, because the gap, the financing gap at the global scale and in Turkey is still huge. And so we want really to see how we can support and help the right investments to land into the right business models which are inclusive and sustainable. And so this is a win-win situation from a profitable point of view, but also from a sustainability point of view. Over to you.
Thank you very much. We're coming to a close for this event. I would like to thank the amazing team that has worked hard on this pioneering investment map, the Deputy Director of the Istanbul Center, Gulçin Hanım Salingan, who has very much been leading this effort, with Seher Alaçatı, who's from the UNDP ARR of the UNDP Turkey, Funda Suzer, who has been the SDG Impact Lead, Melis Aslan, and also Piril. So you see, it was actually an all-women's team launching this today. So congrats to them all for this fantastic work. We are ready as a center to support other countries to go through the same sort of exercise. We are working with Djibouti, who's here. We have a delegation with Djibouti, and we'll be working with other countries. As we know, we had today the opportunity to discuss how the finance industry is becoming more inclined to channel capital towards project for social development impact. I think we will continue to showcase the great potential of SDG anchored investment and impact investing. And what the plan is, in 2 months, there'll be a global UN sanctioned sort of database where these opportunities will be highlighted. And we look forward to your collaboration, not only in Turkey, but also in advising other countries in terms of how to go through the process. Thank you again, and have a great day. And congratulations to all involved in the effort.
Saba, thank you very much to you and to your guests. Do appreciate it. All right, so it's been a pretty busy morning session. We talked about agriculture, we talked about leadership in an age of uncertainty, and most recently we talked about various SDG investment policies. I think it's time to take a short break, time to stretch the legs, get some fresh air, maybe some beverages outside. Let's meet back here for the first session of the afternoon session that will be commencing at 2:30 p.m. So approximately just under an hour. See you here at 2:30. Thank you.